Breaking news! Everything we feared might be happening. What started as a routine post-game press conference has turned into an avalanche of shocking revelations, emotional confessions, and coaching staff decisions that are now heavily impacting Ravens fans. Injuries, mismanagement, silence in the locker room, and an aging leadership being questioned like never before. Lamar Jackson's health? Uncertain. Derrick Henry? Benched at the worst possible time. Zay Flowers? Sidelined after a game-winning mistake. And John Harbaugh? Facing unprecedented pressure. But what's really going on inside the Ravens organization? But before we delve deeper, if you're a true Ravens fan, click the like button and tell us in the comments, what's the one thing you would change about this team right now? We want to know your opinion. Let's dive in. The Ravens' 2025 season might have just slipped through their fingers, and much of that downfall is being traced back to one controversial decision, and it has fans absolutely furious. In the dying moments of the game against New England, Baltimore was up by 3 points. One final drive, one touchdown, and it was lights out for the Patriots. The opportunity was right there, but instead of pounding the ball with Derrick Henry, who was averaging a monstrous 7.1 yards per carry with 128 yards and 2 touchdowns, the Ravens inexplicably kept him on the sidelines. That's right, the most feared running back in football was standing on the sidelines during the most important offensive series of the entire season. John Harbaugh, when pressed, admitted that it was a decision made between Derrick Henry and running backs coach Willie Taggart. According to Harbaugh, they had a rotation planned and opted to send rookie Keaton Mitchell out for the final series. The idea was to bring Henry back in after a few plays. That never happened. And when asked if he would have done anything differently, Harbaugh admitted he should have overridden the decision. But he didn't, and the Ravens lost. Again, that one moment perfectly encapsulates the growing frustration among the fan base and possibly even within the locker room. It's a coaching error, and not just any error, but a game-defining, season-ending one. It's moments like these that have led to increased scrutiny of Harbaugh's job security. It's the kind of mistake that could, and perhaps should, mark the end of a head coaching tenure that's beginning to feel alarmingly stale. Speaking of Harbaugh's job status, he was asked about it directly in the presser. His response? "My focus has always been for the last 18 years to do my best job today. Anything after today, I'm not thinking about." That's not exactly the rallying cry you want to hear from a coach who just watched his playoff hopes dissolve after a series of questionable decisions. It's no secret that Harbaugh has built a strong relationship with owner Steve Bisciotti and GM Eric DeCosta, a bond that could very well protect his job yet again. But at what cost? This team, stacked with talent, may not even reach the postseason. And it's not because they lack the tools, it's because they've been mismanaged when it mattered most. And then there's Lamar Jackson, the heart and soul of this franchise. The MVP candidate who left the game in excruciating pain after taking a knee to the lower back. CT scans were scheduled the following day. Harbaugh offered an update, calling it a significant contusion, but insisted there was no rib or bone damage. That's good news, relatively speaking, but this is a quarterback whose style relies heavily on mobility and torque. A back injury could seriously compromise his game, even if he does return this season. Jackson reportedly received a Toradol shot at halftime, attempting to power through the pain. But it wasn't enough. He struggled to move, leaned on lockers while dressing, and grimaced during post-game interviews. He's now officially listed as day-to-day ahead of the Week 17 matchup against the Packers, a game that has suddenly become a must-win, especially with the Cleveland Browns needing to do Baltimore a massive favor and take down Pittsburgh. Without Lamar, the Ravens' playoff path becomes a steep climb. Now, while we're on the topic of accountability, Harbaugh didn't exactly instill confidence when addressing Zay Flowers' costly fumble that sealed the team's fate. He told reporters he hadn't spoken to Zay yet, which, considering the stakes of that game and the impact of that mistake, is baffling. That's your WR1, and you don't have time to check in with him after the most devastating turnover of the season? Zay's talent isn't in question, but ball security is, and it's come up more than once this year. And in today's league, where player relationships matter more than ever, fans are left wondering, does Harbaugh still have the pulse of this locker room? Is his message still resonating? And what about Rashad Bateman? Once hyped as a potential WR1 during training camp, Bateman's numbers have plummeted. Just 18 catches this year. That's it. For a player who just got a new contract, the production is nowhere near acceptable. Harbaugh claimed Bateman deserves the ball more, but when he has gotten the chance, the results haven't been there, from drops to tip balls leading to interceptions. You can't keep defending a player who isn't performing. Lastly, there was a quick update on Andrew Voorhees, who left the game with a foot injury. Harbaugh called him day-to-day, but at this point, it might be time to give Emory Jones Jr. the reins. He filled in and held his own, and considering the long-term outlook, getting him more reps could only benefit the Ravens moving forward. Let's get right back into it. When we left off, the question was looming. Is it time for the Baltimore Ravens to part ways with John Harbaugh? And while that debate is raging across the fan base, we have to look at the full picture, not just the heat-of-the-moment mistakes, but the long-term patterns that have emerged under his leadership. Because this isn't just about a single decision to keep Derrick Henry on the sideline. It's about a decade-long trend of conservative decision-making, questionable in-game management, and a growing sense that this locker room might need a new voice. Harbaugh has been at the helm for 17 seasons. He brought Baltimore a Super Bowl, and that will forever earn him a place in Ravens history. But football is a what-have-you-done-for-me-lately business, and lately, the results just aren't good enough. This team has had talent, elite talent, at quarterback, at tight end, now at running back, and on the defensive side of the ball. And yet year after year, it's the same story: injuries, inconsistency, and underachievement in the biggest moments. And that's what hurts the most. Because this year, this roster had the pieces: a healthy Lamar Jackson, a rejuvenated Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers emerging as a legit weapon, a defense that had held strong when it mattered most. The front office invested, the players bought in, the fans, they were all in. But coaching? That's where the questions start. The Henry situation has become the microcosm of the larger issue. A head coach with full authority, admitting post-game that he should have stepped in, but didn't. That's not leadership. That's a problem. And it's not like this is new. Remember last season's red zone struggles? The timeouts burned at the wrong moments? The decisions to punt when aggression was needed? They pile up, and they eventually cost you seasons. And now, it might have just cost the Ravens theirs. Let's also not ignore the ripple effect this has on the locker room. Players like Derrick Henry didn't come to Baltimore to stand on the sidelines. He's a future Hall of Famer, a proven closer, and he was dominating New England's defense. You think that move, or lack thereof, doesn't send a message to the rest of the team? It does, and it's not a good one. And while Harbaugh has been the face of stability for nearly 2 decades, stability isn't enough when you're losing must-win games. Fans aren't calling for change just because they're angry. They're calling for it because they see the same movie every December, and they know how it ends. Now, let's shift back to the players, because the fallout from this game extends beyond the head coach. Lamar Jackson's injury throws everything into chaos. Harbaugh says it's day-to-day, but the reality is, Lamar's ability to twist, turn, and move is what makes him special. A lower back contusion? That's a tough injury to play through, especially for someone who takes so much punishment and relies so heavily on his legs and core. Even if Lamar does suit up against Green Bay, you have to ask, how close to 100% will he really be? And if he's not close to full strength, does throwing him out there risk making it worse? Behind him is Tyler Huntley, who's proven he can manage a game, but not much more. The Ravens might be facing a backup versus backup scenario if Jordan Love can't clear concussion protocol, but that's no reason for comfort. This is the NFL. One mistake, one turnover, and your season's gone. And with Pittsburgh breathing down their neck, there's no margin for error. None. Which brings us back to Zay Flowers, the rookie phenom. Electrifying, explosive, and unfortunately, too loose with the ball in critical moments. The fumble that effectively ended the Ravens' playoff hopes was just the latest example. And while Harbaugh's choice not to even speak to him after the game might seem like a minor detail, it's not. That's your leader. That's the guy who should be walking over, putting his hand on Flowers' shoulder, and saying something, whether it's support or correction. Silence isn't the answer. And it begs the question, are we seeing cracks in the leadership structure? Are players getting the guidance they need? Or are they being left to figure it out themselves? Even Rashad Bateman's situation hints at a deeper problem. This was a guy once touted as a WR1 candidate. He got his payday. And now he's invisible. John Harbaugh says he deserves more touches, but you don't earn touches with reputation. You earn them with performance. And the reality is, Bateman has taken a huge step back. From 45 catches in 2024 to just 18 this year. Touchdowns down. Yards down. Production nowhere to be found. So why is Harbaugh still defending him? Why not hold him accountable the way you'd hold any other player? Then there's Andrew Voorhees, day-to-day with a foot injury, but at this point, it feels like the Ravens are simply delaying the inevitable. Emory Jones Jr. came in, held his own, and showed he's ready for more. With playoffs now slipping away, wouldn't it make more sense to get Jones those reps? Build for 2026? Start turning the page? The entire situation screams of a team that's caught between 2 timelines, trying to win now, while also preparing for the future.